I am used to working with a very technical crowd, building this presence. But prior to Ansys, I had my own agency for 5 years where I did a lot of B2C. So working with the mommy bloggers or the male audience for boat locks. So I have a pretty broad range and then just decided to take my digital marketing and marketing communications and concentrate starting in 2007 on social media marketing. So that's what we're here to look at today. So I am going to go back to sharing my screen. Make sure everybody sees what they're supposed to be seeing, full screen. So you can see social media isn't just one thing, it's a lot of things. It touches a lot of different areas of different businesses. And so you don't want to get just tied into the fact that social media is this standalone or add-on thing all by itself. It really becomes part of the whole digital ecosystem. And of course, most digital ecosystems are designed around getting people to your website. If you don't actually have a website, you may choose to use a social media platform as your final landing page for people, such as a Facebook page or a LinkedIn showcase page. So what is social media marketing? Basically what it is it's a process of gaining website traffic or attention through social media sites. So social media marketing programs usually center on efforts to create content that will attract attention and encourage readers to share it across their social networks, thus lifting your brand or your project to a wider audience. There's a lot of different types of social channels, from blogging to photo, to video, to chats, to communities. So first thing you have to do is figure out what's right for you. And you can do a little bit of research and you can find out, this is some data from the end of 2014. So we should be seeing the 2015 data pretty soon. But you can start to look at the demographics across each of the social sites, and that will help you start to understand which ones you want to put more effort into. So if you are targeting, let's say the 25 to 34-year-old market, Snapchat is really hot right now. And then you have to figure out, how am I going to interact with people on Snapchat? Never let things you hear in the news, broad brush strokes, like, oh, only kids are using that, or Facebook isn't cool anymore for the 20-year-olds because their parents are on there. That's not really accurate data. That's just somebody expressing some wild opinion in most cases. What you really want to do is just jump on Google, do a quick search to find out age demographics on social networks, and that can help you with your strategies. So when we're looking at these, for instance, Pinterest has a really good reach among women. So when we look at US female internet users, if that's the audience that you're seeking to reach out to and interact with, 42% are using Pinterest compared to 13% of men. And then Instagram is really becoming more important, especially now that Facebook has purchased them. 32% of US teenagers use it as their most important social network in 2014. I kind of think that has flipped a little over to, more over to Snapchat now. Snapchat, Vine, Tumblr, definitely the more youthful bases when you look at social media networks. 45% of Snapchat's adult users were 18 to 24. So I don't call 18 to 24-year-olds kids. They're probably in college. So if you're looking to interact with a college age group, this might be a good, viable network for you. LinkedIn certainly has the highest adoption among highly educated and high-income users, and they had recent metrics like 44% of Americans with an income of more than $75,000 use their site. Very heavily used in the B2B. There's some other things that are emerging. There's, oh, you could try Periscope for doing live videos. That's more of a one person speaking at you kind of video platform. Vine is more, I'm just putting video up. There's another platform that just emerged, maybe in October, November. It's called Blab, blab.im. That's kind of an interesting platform, especially if you're trying to do some community stuff where 4 people can be on the channel at the same time. And it interacts very nicely with Twitter. So while you're on this Blab having a conversation, you can push a message out to your Twitter handle and say, come on in and join and watch us. So there's a lot of different channels. Basically, you have to figure out which one is right for what your goals are. We'll get to goals a little later in the presentation. I'm going to do a little more tactical to begin. One of the biggest challenges of doing social media marketing is that you have to be active. You cannot just post one post on Facebook in a week and 2 tweets when I feel like it because I'm at an event. I mean, you really have to lay out a strategy. What you see here is kind of the minimum best practices for the frequency of your content. Twitter, you see here on Twitter, post to Twitter 5 times a day. Really, tweets are moving at about 3,000 tweets per second. If you have a decent sized following, you can't always count on them to be online, right? So I shoot for no less than 10 a day, and I'll show you later how to work with some scheduling stuff to make that easier. But even Twitter will suggest 15 to 20 posts a day, never more than 1 in an hour. Spread them out. So maybe it's 7 times per day. You may find that as you go along and you start looking at your metrics on your social, you may find that, gee, my audience really isn't on between 6 a.m. and noon. Or you'll find out, oh, wow, my audience is around on Sunday night. So again, it depends on your audience. For instance, if people are at their regular job all day, I wouldn't put quite as much content out during the day. I'd put it out in the evening, right after 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock, people are getting tired of their day and they need a little break and they tend to go to social. Maybe at lunchtime they go to social. People with families tend to hang on to social more like 9 o'clock at night after the kids have gone to bed if they have smaller children. So you just have to start understanding your audience and figure out when's the best time to get your message to them. And then there's that, what kind of content do you share? So you have to balance your content. If everything you're doing is me, look at me, promoting me, people will get really tired of what you're doing. So one of the challenges comes in with curating other people's content. In fact, I always say I have an 80-20 rule. 80% of the content that I post is other people's content. It's high industry level for me. Depending on what you're doing, you could just be reporting things that are in the news that you know would be of interest to your audience. So in effect, you become the go-to person for, Luann always has the best posts on this topic. I'm going to pay attention to what she's saying. And then she can start slipping in some of her extension content without seeing overly self-promoting. It's good on social to be a person. I mean, this is about people coming together with people. So you can put, that third of the content would be your personal interactions that help build the brand, retweeting somebody or thanking them for following you, or sharing an interest, like you see somebody say something that you're following about wine, and you can tweet to them and say, oh, I found this great bottle of wine, or things like that. So you want to maintain about a third of your content is more that personal interacting with people than just pushing information at them. Does that make sense to everybody? I'm watching the chat. So posting across time zones. So what I do with time zones is I try to put one post in every time zone. If I've got a European market that I go after, so the tools I use will be set up for Eastern time zone, so I have to schedule them to go out at 3 a.m. So yeah, don't forget about the other time zones. If you know that it's of general interest. Today I've got a blog going out that has to do with the University of Berkeley's solar team. They build solar cars. And normally our blog goes out at 9 a.m. Eastern, but the content is relevant to that West Coast audience, so I will post it later in the day. And then over the next few days, never post something and then forget it. Never take a fire and forget it mentality. The only reason to do that would be if you're tweeting live at an event. If I have a piece of content that is about the latest findings in social media marketing, I'm going to schedule that to go out today in the morning, tomorrow around noon, the next day in the afternoon. I'm probably going to try to push that same piece of content. I may tweak the wording a little and have that go out again Saturday morning and then Sunday night. And then 2 weeks from now, I'm going to post it again. And then a month from now, I'm going to post it again. So you need so much content to keep going on social that you really want to use your good content as long as it stays relevant for a longer period of time. Make sense? Okay, no comments. So I'm going to just quickly say what we're seeing for trends for 2016. Everything's going to be about video. I mean, I don't know if you've picked up your cell phone and tried to tweet. Twitter has even now included animated GIFs in a lot of places. Wait, Susan, won't your followers get bored with the same content? No, the chances are they're not going to see it 6 or 7 times unless you've only got 3 followers, right? So again, the tweets come through at 3,000. Not that many, 3,000 per second. So not that many people are going to scroll back really far and see it. And you never know what's going to strike them. So if you're going to do the same content 6 or 7 times, try changing the picture, changing the wording. If it's a blog, it's going to a landing page. Maybe there's a different landing page about the same topic you can send them to. So just kind of mix it up that way. If they get bored with it, they'll just ignore it. The rules, well, yes, those rules were for Twitter. For Facebook, you can still post things across. We'll get to Facebook, but you can still post things more than once. I would never post it more than once in a day. I might post it on a Monday and then I might post it on a Friday, because by then a lot of the stream will have come through and it'll be fresh and new, and it'll be a reminder to somebody who has seen it. And you can never count, like Luann started out earlier, you can never count on who's seen your posts. Okay, so with my young mom hat, don't abandon text contents. I almost never get through a video. Oh, well, okay, so let's talk about video. When I talk about video, I'm not talking about a 15-minute video or an hour video. I'm talking about a 30-second video, like a TV commercial, or a 60-second. You're trying to create what is called snackable content. Never have your videos go over 3 minutes if you want people to pay attention to it. People won't get through it. I don't get through it. you don't get through it. So when you're looking at an educational video, maybe it's let's say you're doing a, Luann, can I use your project that I remember you doing in Second Life? So you were doing, I'm going to get it wrong, so forgive me, but I know it had something to do with understanding something about disease control, or was it CDC you were doing? I kind of forget.
It was extension stuff. We had the different projects, but say the one about the bed bugs, for instance.
Bed bugs. Okay, so there's 10 tips about how to get rid of bed bugs, and you want to do a 30-second or 60-second video of each of those tips, and then now you've got 10 pieces of video content to sprinkle through your social media. So you didn't have one video with 10 tips. Does that make sense? Okay. All right, so the types of video we're expecting to see a lot of this year: educational, explainer. So explainer videos show viewers how to use a product, or demonstrates the benefits of doing something you want them to do. Obviously, an educational one is instructing your audience. And then entertaining. People like to be entertained. That's one of the reasons they're on social media. If you can figure out a way to add some humor to whatever it is you're trying to convey, you can get a lot more attention. No, you don't need to make high quality videos with scripts and go through a storyboard and all that. I use my cell phone. Just make sure when you use your cell phone for video that you are turning it landscape, that you are not doing portrait facing. So I bought some gear. I actually bought some gear to do man on the street videos. So if you were going to a conference and you wanted to ask people questions, I've got a little tabletop. Boy, I have no words today, apparently. I have a tabletop tripod that has a connector on top that holds my cell phone in both vertical and horizontal. And then I bought a little collar mic, lavalier collar mic, that I could hook right into my phone. And with the quality of our cell phones today, that's perfectly acceptable content. Most people aren't looking for flashy, $40,000 corporate looking videos. They're just not expecting that anymore. So selfie sticks, I think selfie sticks are great if you're not taking selfies. So what you might use a selfie stick for is if you're at an event and you want to get a really cool picture that you're going to then post on social, then put your camera on that selfie stick and hold that selfie stick up in the air to get an aerial shot down. That's a really good use of it. So let's keep going. So Facebook. Now, I kind of made an assumption, which if I had to pick one channel to talk about right away, since you're doing a lot of community type of programming, you're probably spending a good deal of the time trying to understand the Facebook marketing. So I wanted to spend some time here talking about what to do with your page. And it's really important that when you set up a page for your program, that you make sure you're optimizing it against search engine. So that means if you are promoting, community education or community outreach, or
how about local growers, local
growers, yeah. So you might have to do, like, I'm in Pittsburgh, so Pittsburgh local growers, or Pennsylvania, PA local growers. You want to do a quick Google search and see what other terminology is coming up, but yep, you could do a local growers. And then you're going to, use that Facebook, you can use Facebook groups as well to engage with the target audience. So you could set up a private group that you could then invite people into to have further discussions. That way you can kind of keep all that grower stuff out of your personal stream and spend your time in your group. Having a page is nice as a landing page, but quite honestly, the way that Facebook is going with organic growth, it's really hard to get people to keep coming back to your page. It's a great landing page and you need to have content there, but don't expect people are always going to log into your page to see what you've been doing lately. They're going to rely on that feed and their groups. Then you always want to encourage people when you're sharing things to share it with other people. And there's a couple of different ways. I'll show you in a second, but I guess the bottom line is you want to get your posts seen by more people, right? So we talked a little bit about when and how often to post. And then I will just really touch, you probably don't have a lot of budget, but you can actually do quite a bit if you had $100 a month or something. I don't know what kind of budgets you have, but it's something to think about. And then you need to have best practices for Facebook ads if you're going to run them. Oh, cool. So Susan uses paid options and response is amazing. Very cool. We don't get quite the amazing response in B2B, but so here's a page that I did. I ran a project where we were just testing how to do Facebook pages, and we created multicultural bread. So what I wanted to just point out on this page is that you want to make sure that you have a good image, that you're posting frequently. You have to have 25 likes to get a vanity URL. Otherwise, you're going to get facebook.com/65789 whatever. So you want to make sure you choose that's something that's like memorable. I have multiculti bread, because multicultural was gone, and long story, but actually you want to accurately convey the topic of your page. And then after you have 25 likes, so you're probably gonna have to go out and say, hey, could you like my page to some of your friends so that you can get your vanity URL? But that's usually not a really big deal. And then you want to make sure that you fill out your about section so that it accurately describes what you're trying to do. So you can try to keep keywords in that description so that when people are doing searches in Facebook, they might find you. And then definitely make sure that you assign your page to the right category. Some people, will move it around. If you're a charitable organization, chances are when you opened your page, you selected the right nonprofit or organization. But even though it says companies and organizations, you're probably an organization or a local business. You're probably not a website or a blog unless you are a blogger and trying to drive people over there. So it can be a serious problem if you don't get that right, because you won't start to show up in what is called Facebook graph search. If you have a local business, it's really critical because it allows people to check in at your location. So if you're doing let's say you're doing a farmer's market every Saturday morning in your downtown community, then make sure it's a local business so people can check in. Okay, so what if you're trying to drive people to a community of practice, a website? Should we choose website? Only if you represent the organization. So if you don't actually work for extension, you probably wouldn't.
Yeah, that's kind of a tricky one because there's no location for community practice by design. They're from all across the country coming together to work collaboratively, and their only location that they could offer would be their website, their webpage.
Well, location becomes physical location.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you definitely want to plug in that your physical location is whatever city you're in. The website, there's opportunities in there to link to a website. So you could add that in the About section. Just don't represent it as your own if it's not your own. So the two biggest things about social media, or one of the biggest things about social media, is that the image sizes change constantly. There's always a new best practices. The platforms are not static. They're very dynamic platforms, so they're tweaking things all the time. So you want to make sure that you always optimize your page images. You want them to be, you want them to be professional quality. You don't want them to be blurry or dark. They can still, again, be with your cell phone, but make sure you have decent lighting and that the camera hasn't been shaking, or that somebody's got a tree stuck out of the back of their head or a pole or something. So still, do nice images. But I put on here a website, and Luann, I'll give you this presentation when we're done, if you want it. So you can go look at the latest cheat sheets. And I pulled as an example Facebook. So Facebook, it's always been 851 by 315, but when you design your cover page, you have to allow for the fact that 180 by 180 profile image is going to be in a particular position. So don't put any important or relevant text there.
This is really great. Thank you for sharing this.
Sure.
Would everybody agree this is useful? Very. And they update, this is the idea. This website keeps track of this stuff, and they will update when things change on a particular platform.
Yeah, there was I would say at least twice a year they're making some changes.
Great.
There's some standard things you can do, like for instance, you see the 1200 by 630 for the shared image in the middle. I'd like to say I'm lazy, but I'm really busy, and I have to manage many channels. So I started just trying using 1200 by 630 as my default image across all channels, and it seems to be working just fine. As long as you know that if you're putting text in an image, keep it to the top, because things will cut off on the bottom, and don't make them too wide to the edges, because things will cut off on the side. But if you're just using images, you can mostly get away with trying to do that 1200 by 630 and be okay. So we're back to, whoops, I don't know how we got back to previous. Back to this. Oh, so we're back to content, right? Okay, so that's where I was going to go with this. Let's get back to how we're going to use this content. And you have a couple of choices. You can do everything on what is called native platform, or you can get a scheduling tool and start to build a strategy. And I'm going to post this, this, and this on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and this one's going to go out at this time. And you can start to use these tools. So my favorite tool for that is Buffer. Because I'm not doing a lot on our corporate site with Instagram, I really don't need that. So Buffer gives me everything I need to do. But Hootsuite is another nice option. Buffer, I get better free metrics. Hootsuite wants to charge me for everything. So it really becomes a personal preference. What's the feeling about having Facebook post automatically to your Twitter and LinkedIn? I think that's lazy marketing. If you buy a scheduling tool or get a free scheduling tool, you can make your one post, and then you'll select the 3 channels and it'll push it out, but nobody will know it. It's really still not a good idea to have duplicate content across 3 channels, because if I'm following you on all 3 and you post the same thing on all 3, I'm going to be pretty uninspired to go over to what now is your primary channel you want me to be at. So I would be really careful with letting too much automation take over. Different people use different tools. Some do, some use them all. Some are very, very, very tied to their Facebook. Others love their Twitter. And then some use all of them. It depends on what they do for a living, I would imagine. What their companies are telling them, hey, we're pushing out some content over on Facebook, go over and like it and share it. Because companies are doing that now with employee advocacy plans. So, yeah, I agree, Victor. Repurpose the content, otherwise you look like a robot. So don't do that. Who has time for all the repurposing? Somebody who seriously wants to get their message out to people. You should be able to do that once you get good at it, 30 minutes a day, easily. It's pretty easy to do. It's just, it's building a rhythm of how you work. If you can't devote 30 minutes a week to social media strategy, start with 15. And then once you see how easy it is and with the tools out there, you'll be able to escalate. You'll go, oh, I can do this every morning for 10 minutes. The 15 to 30 minutes. I'd like to see you doing it every day, but if you can only do it once a week, do it once a week. Do what you can do to get started, and then add to that as you go along and see success. You're not going to have success if you only are on social media once a week at 9 a.m. It's just not going to happen for you, and then you're going to think social media sucks and you don't want to do it. So it's like anything else. You have to work at it. So my next slide talks about how you can measure your success. So this is a real basic, and we call it a buyer's journey. You could call it a customer's journey. Depending on what you're trying to accomplish, your social media can sit in the entire buyer's journey. Whether you're just trying to get awareness in the community of your program, then you have to decide, how are you going to measure if I'm successful? And that's going to be by impressions and reach, how many people are sharing your content. If you're trying to do demand generation, or let's say you're hosting a webinar and you want them to attend the webinar, you want to be able to track how many people are engaging with your content. Are they sharing it? Are they liking it? Are they getting to your web page where the actual webinar might be hosted for registration? And then decision is the driving conversion. Did they register for that event you were trying to get them to? And then adoption is talking about, like, they're more willing, they're going to +1 you on Google Plus, or they're going to like you on YouTube, and you're going to get some positive sentiments, so understand how people feel about what it is you're trying to accomplish. And then advocacy is definitely getting other people to share your content, especially if you're looking at something called influencer marketing, which means you're probably working with the local press to see if they'll retweet things. So Victor said that be sure to share other folks' content. Another thing that you can do to help each other is like each other's content. Luann was talking earlier about Facebook. and not knowing who's seen it, etc. So there on a Facebook page, there's 30 posts. The top 10 are usually your friends and family, and they don't come right in this order. But out of the 30, 10 are going to be from your friends and family. 10 are going to be things you're interested in, and you've expressed interest based on things you've clicked and liked. If you keep clicking on everybody's I love cats photos, you'll notice in your stream, you'll get more and more cat photos. You could try and experiment, and you could find something really obscure like, I don't know, Bigfoot. And go find a bunch of content. Do a search on Facebook and start liking a bunch of Bigfoot content for like a day or two. And then wait another day or two, and all of a sudden you'll start seeing all this Bigfoot content in your feed. So the artificial intelligence behind the algorithm of Facebook is picking up on those kinds of things. So when you post something on your page, who sees it? Facebook's algorithm picks a certain percentage of your viewers, shows it to them. If they like it or share it, then they show it to more of your page followers. So if nobody's sharing your content, that's when you start seeing, well, only 300 people of my 5,000 saw my page and nobody clicked like. You can support each other and say, hey, I just posted this stuff. Could you go over and like it? Then Facebook will start picking up on that algorithm too. It's all very complicated stuff. It's a game we play in social media to get more of our message out to other people.
Yeah, you know, my experience on the e-extension page is if I put a post about something, a message we want to get out, like attend our conference, maybe I get 300 views. If I put something about a stroller to wheel your chicken around in, that gets 5,000 because
wow.
It's like clickbait, you know. They
want you to spend money on advertising. And I'll tell you, if you're going to spend money on Facebook ads, now is the time to do it. It's still cheap in comparison to all the other social channels. And I'll bet you in a year, it's going to be just as expensive. Instead of paying, maybe I pay 50 cents for a click on Facebook. Over on LinkedIn, I'm paying $8 for a click. So it's all going to even out. So if you do have budget and want to try that, try it now. And then I have so much more, but we are short on time. But I do always like to, before I go, I always like to talk about my 3 favorite books that I would recommend to this audience. So on the left, you see Jab, 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 Right Hook. This is talking about how you can put out some content that is more helpful to other people. The right hook is the ask. So give, then ask for something. Brian Solis he actually just wrote another new book. It's called X, and it talks about experience. And experience is like the buzzword this year. Everybody wants a great customer experience. So it's well worth the read as well. And then Beth Cantor put out a great one for the network nonprofit. It's a little bit older. I think they're working on another one right now. Lisa Sherman's working on something right now for nonprofits.
Beth Cantor was a keynote speaker at our last e-extension.
Awesome. So, yeah, Gary Vee is awesome, isn't he? I've had a crush on him, I'll bet, since 2006. His videos are great, but if you don't like swearing, don't watch them. He tells it like it is. So here we are. I've got more content. Do you want me to just keep pushing through? Yeah? Okay. Yeah, he is. Okay, so the next section I was going to talk about, kind of moving away from the channels themselves and promoting your programs, kind of is like, what about you? Like, what's in this for you? And even when you're promoting your programs, especially if you're going out into the community, people may actually do a Google search. And like, who is this person before they want to come and meet you or give you money or do something. So I think you need to have a great profile on LinkedIn. So I'm going to just cover some things about how to optimize your profile. Some of it, I didn't tweak all of it. I took this from another presentation, so some of it might show some of my company training I do. But the bottom line is people are going to Google you, and this is what they're going to see in Google, this snippet. LinkedIn is considered a very high authority site. So if you have a great LinkedIn profile and you share content out there fairly regularly, you'll show up on your name. That'll be the first entry in Google, most likely. And then you want to optimize everything that's at the top of the fold. So the top part of the profile is your photo, your headline, and your summary. And then you want to also think about how you're going to build your network deliberately. It used to be, I'm not connecting with anybody I've never met in person. That mentality has really shifted in the last 1.5 to 2 years. And people are connecting with people that shared similar interests or are in groups they belong to or in their community who they think would be a good networking opportunity. So it's really stretched beyond the resume or business card platform. Do not hide your profile. A lot of people are like, oh, I don't want anybody to see anything. If you don't want anybody to see anything, don't have one, because what's the point? You want to try to share 4 to 6 pieces of content. This is the same content you've got that you're doing over on your other channels, except make it more about business. So, Luann, come to our conference, or here's the benefits of being a part of an extension community, or here's a different area of interest. Just share the right kind of content to the right people. And then before you start connecting with a person or calling them or emailing them, make sure you scan through their profile and make sure they're the appropriate person. See what they're interested in, see what they like, see if there's a commonality in there that you can then use. In sales, they call it a warm call. So you're not just picking up and talking to a stranger, you have some information. I saw this article you posted, it was really interesting, led me to think you might be interested in this other project I'm doing, kind of thing. And then participate in the community, like, share, and comment on other people's content. You'd want that on yours. So here's my little tip on using Firefox for profile editing. Chrome seems really tweaky, and I am not a fan of Microsoft IE. So if you can use Firefox to do your profile editing, first thing you want to do is turn off notifications. You don't want your feed to be getting a note every time, oh, Sandy updated her image. Oh, Susan updated her her recommendations or some skill or whatever. So just turn off your notifications. While you're working on your profile, you'll get a box that looks something like this, and it should be, so double check, it should be turned unchecked while you're working. You can turn notifications back on, or you must turn notifications on, or your updates won't show. So here's top of the fold, optimizing. You should only put your name. LinkedIn has guidelines. They've got places to put things, and they want those things in those places, right? So some people can be turned off if you put Sandy Adam, MBA, or Sandy, PhD. You don't know what people's perceptions of those kinds of things are, so you're really better off just sticking to your name. In that second section, where you see on mine, it's digital marketing strategy, social media, gamification. You get about, I think it's 120 characters there. So you could use those as keywords for when people are doing searches. They definitely still need to make sense to who you are and what you do. You do not need to put the company you work at, because right below that you can see my current employer is Ansys Inc. So I don't need Ansys or product or digital marketing manager at Ansys. Serves no purpose other than to take up valuable space. There you go, headline, 100 characters. So here I was teaching somebody to bring the value proposition. In his case, it was bringing engineering simulation. But yours might be helping local growers connect in their community or something like that. We do know that the text right underneath your headline is the first thing people will look at. So make sure that you spend time there. So photos. You don't have to be in a suit and a tie or dress, but look professional. Don't, you know, if you can, you know, pop for the studio photo, go to Sears or something instead of a selfie. Selfies aren't terrible, or your friend, again, your cell phone's a good camera, then just make sure you have a flat background. Smile, look into the camera, be friendly.
And good lighting.
And good lighting, absolutely good lighting. Stand by a window. Okay, you know what? Work in forestry, okay to have photo. You know, I took some really fun pictures of some of the guys at work, and it was outdoors, and there were trees behind them, but I used a professional camera so I could blur that a little bit, and again, made sure that there was no tree coming out of somebody's head. So yeah, you can do some stuff like that. This doesn't have to be stick in the mud, I'm looking for a job kind of pro. The big thing here is that secret tip to get found in search. And I can't stress this enough. Hyphens, Sandy, hyphen, Adam, hyphen, social media, hyphen. You get the point here. These become keyword searchable terms in LinkedIn's database, right? So when somebody comes into LinkedIn and they're looking for a social media marketing person, they're more likely to find me. Or they're looking for marketing at Ansys, they'll find me. So just rename your images, don't upload them straight off your camera with those file names. So editing your profile, I'm hoping everybody knows how, but it's very simple. Profile, edit profile. This section here is where you want to start customizing. So you can see my LinkedIn is /Sandy Adam. So you will just click on that little edit button. It'll take you to another page where you can customize your LinkedIn URL. This makes it handy for putting on business cards or flyers or whatever, an email signature. If your name is already taken, and it has to be in all lowercase, by the way. If your name is already taken, try adding a middle initial. Some people that have very common names may add, like I could have added PA at the end of that for Pennsylvania. You're going to have to kind of play with it. One thing, speaking of names, so whenever you hear that there's a new social media that's really hot, go and sign up and get your name. Even if you're not going to use it, own your name. I mean, I even own sandyadam.com. It's that important that you should own your own name. That's my opinion, of course. So what you can do with that is then create a badge. It's called a profile badge, and then have that pretty little view my LinkedIn profile to go right in your email and look very professional. And then that URL will also carry over if you're doing any blogging. Here's an example of it, the image down at the bottom, view my profile. So there's a lot of different ways that you can use it. And then you're going to want to add a website to your profile if you have a website or a blog or your Facebook or your Twitter. And you can see here I've got my Twitter account. I've got my business account. I've got my avatar account from my virtual world work. And then I've got 3 different websites. I'm going to my Twitter with my personal stuff and my Facebook. I'm always open to people connecting with me on Facebook because I know how to separate different posts by creating lists. So that's a whole nother topic. When you add your Twitter account, make sure that you are logged into Twitter before you do that. You obviously can only add accounts that you actually have access to. But when you're adding websites, instead of choosing personal website or company website or blog, I always like to choose other, because then I can customize it a little more and say what the other is, rather than having it say company blog, and then people would click on that. So that's just kind of a workaround if you want to customize your contact information. And then here's an example I was showing on how you could have, you have 3 chances to brand yourself. I don't think, okay, so summary. So summary is the one thing that people read. This shouldn't be, you should never write in third person. You know, Sandy Adam is a master of social media. That, you know, you don't want to do that. You talk in first person. This is what I do. This is who I am. I throw follow me on Twitter because I want people to come over and follow me on Twitter. So it's almost like my little advertising. But I have a rule 3 by 3. So 3 paragraphs, no more than 3 sentences each, should tell the story of who you are, what you do, and what you're looking to accomplish, right? Then you can put in what is known as rich media. Here I've inserted a video. So if people don't know who the company is that I've worked for, they could watch that short video right on that platform. I'm not sending them out away to YouTube and they might forget to come back. The fuel efficiency is a project I worked on that I was very, very proud of the project, and I thought the information would not only be interesting to people that are in my industry, but also people I work with, or I mean just know. And then lastly is be proactive. I mean, if you're going to sit around and wait for everybody to come to you, that's going to be a long, arduous process. So go ahead and be proactive. Make sure you always personalize your connection requests. Don't just try to avoid. It's hard because of the way that LinkedIn's mobile app works, but whenever you get a pop-up window that says, I'd like to add you to my LinkedIn network, try to personalize it. You know, hi Luann, we met at, it'd be great if we could connect here. Or, you know, hi Susan, I saw you posted this piece of content. It's very interesting. I'd love to connect and share insights. So personalize it in some way. You can engage in the LinkedIn groups. LinkedIn groups, I don't know, they can be a time sink and they can get spammy, but it could be worth it if you find the right group. So try it out. Forget the sales pitch, lead with value. I always, when somebody says, yep, they'll connect with me, I always send them back another message that says, thanks for connecting. I'm really looking forward to this. I might even say, oh, by the way, I just saw this really cool webinar, or here's this web page that I saw that has this information. You might be interested. And then you're starting to build the relationship. And there's an advanced search, but let's not go on to that one right now. So there we are. Are we actually at 2 o'clock? Oh, you're muted.
We actually are, and it's a good place to stop at this point. I know Sandy's been wonderful today. She's just got such depth of knowledge in social media, and I think everybody learned something today. I know I sure did. Are there any remaining follow-up questions that you're just dying to ask in chat, or you can open up your mic and ask? It's fine. We can devote a minute or two to that. Sandy, do you want to put your contact info in the chat in case anybody thinks of a question later?
Mm-hmm. So I'm going to actually give you my personal email on Twitter. And I think on Facebook, I'm me too. I'm me everywhere.
And that's an important point because you're not hiding behind some brand or corporate facade. You're you everywhere. And that's, I think for community educators particularly, that's really what they want to do because doing the social stuff is kind of a expansion of that one-on-one contact that we strive to do in extension education. So yeah, be you. What I want to tell you guys is that if you want to talk some more with Sandy, remember she'll be at a conversation station at the Designathon on Thursday at the conference. So you might want to make a note to reconnect with her there after you think about this stuff some more.
Yeah, and I'll be there. I'm coming in Tuesday. So, I have time open Wednesday as well. If people have questions and they've got moments.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So connect with Sandy in one of these ways if you want to take a deeper dive. So thank you very much.
Thanks for coming, everybody. I really appreciate you giving me an opportunity to talk to you.
See everybody in San Antonio. What do they say down there?
Where?
They don't say gig 'em, right? What is their thing? I don't know.
How they say, remember the Alamo?
It's keep Austin weird. That's a different place. So
Test.
they must have a thing. We'll learn it. Thanks so much. Take
All right.
care. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.